Super Rugby round number 3, folks, certainly threw up a few upset results. Some winless sides getting themselves off the board, and my Blues find a way to break my heart again, losing it at the death against the Brumbies. We'll go through the 5 games at the weekend, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. Still getting over that bloody Blues loss, but the Force opened their account with a 35 points to 19 win over Moana Pasifika. New Zealand soil wins are pretty rare for the Force after dropping their 2 opening games over in Western Australia. Despite the shorter turnaround, despite the long trip over, good win for them. They lose the bonus point. They were in bonus point territory, but a couple of late consolation tries to Moana Pasifika see the bonus point gone. But for the Force, really much needed win. It was at Pukekohe. So in the south of Auckland, Darby Lancaster, first game for the Force after missing the first couple of games injured. Bit of footwork from him to get his first. George Bridge got his first for the Force as well, despite blowing one earlier on. He was way too casual for a guy of his experience, cantering over the line. Got himself caught from behind and fumbled the ball, so blew one, but scored one a bit later. Moana just had the 1 try from a Moore in the first half, so she was 21-7 at halftime. Then the Force forwards went to work, 3 unanswered tries in the second to be leading 35 points to 7. But as I said, a couple of Moana late consolation tries take the bonus point away from the Force. That might prove costly later on, but I don't think they'll be too disappointed. I mean, coming to New Zealand and getting a win. As I said, first win of the season for them, so really much needed. Their line-out was certainly a lot better than the Moana one. Like, they were 16 from 17, Moana was 12 from 16. It's tough when you haven't got that platform, but as I said, Lancaster and Bridge both get on the board. Both bust 5 tackles. Impressive from them. So yeah, the Forces season gets underway, and for Moana, that's one you should be winning. But anyway, good win. Good game. Second game is the Reds up against the Highlanders. Interesting little bit of extra spice because Les Kiss, the Reds coach, will be taking over as the Wallabies coach very shortly at the end of the Super Rugby season. And Jamie Joseph largely tipped to be the next All Blacks coach. So if that is the case, it's advantage Wallabies in terms of the Super Rugby games. 31 points to 14. The Reds get a pretty impressive win over the Landers, a game that was tipped to be kind of close because the Landers have been impressive in their first 2 games. Reds coming off an awkward second round bye, but they responded pretty well. Their first try was pretty crazy. It had Harry Wilson between the legs pass and then Fraser McCright finishing it off from a kick through. They looked to be a wee bit offside, but that's a hell of a try. Very kind of highlight-worthy real stuff. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch the highlights and tell me if you think the Reds guys are in front of the kicker. I don't think that one call cost the Landers because the Landers, you get beaten 31-14. It's not one decision that costs you the game. But, I mean, it did mean the difference between a bonus point and no bonus point. But, yeah, Reds get themselves underway early. Fassler got one, so 12 points to 0 lead. For the Reds, impressive start from them. Lennox and Ryan, 1 for the Landers, 1 for the Reds, trade tries. So it's like 19 points to 7 at halftime, which is comfortable-ish for the Reds, but then the Landers scored first in the second half. It was Casey who got 1 for the Landers, so 19 points to 14 is proper game on, but that's the end of the scoring for the Highlanders. Salakai Aloto and Latu got tries. The Latu one was a bit of a gift. Fumbling ball from the Highlanders, so 31 points to 14. There were some other tries like held up and whatnot that could have gone either way, but not to be. But yeah, ultimately it's a bonus point win for the Reds. They held on at the death for that bonus point. They had 9 line breaks to 4, 31 defenders beaten to 21. So like I said, I don't think any one refereeing call decides that game. The Reds were the better side. McCright, 3 turnovers, 1, and he's the top tackler of the game, plus scores a try. Pretty good shift. They have got their first win of the season, and now the Landers have dropped 2 on the bounce. Then we head to the Saturday games in the wet in Lautoka. The Drua also got their first win. They were kind of written off against the Hurricanes, but have proved Fortress Fiji is maybe still a thing. Maybe they were just caught on the hop in week 1 by Moana. Very wet. Very wet. The conditions certainly played a big part in this game. Like the top run meter guy, I think, was Samu Vondre, who had like 54, which is pretty low for a top rugby to guy between teams like the Hurricanes and the Drua. The Drua bagged a 3-pointer early, but the Hurricanes bagged the first 2 tries, Whenua and Lakai. Both unconverted though, so the Highlanders Hurricanes did have some goal kick and go a little bit awry. Murray got the only one in the first half for the Drua, but again the Hurricanes scored through Proctor. So the Hurricanes scored all their tries in the first half. They were limited to only 3 points from Geordie Barrett's boot in the second, whereas the Drua, Samusomo Vondre, got one from a really nice intercept, and Wanga got one in his first game for the Drua this year. So 25 points to 20 in the wet. As I said, a few penalties each way. The Drua kicked a couple through Armstrong Ravula. So good for that fellow. Neither side's line-out was very good, but again, the conditions were not great. 25 turnovers conceded by the Hurricanes is horrendously high, but again, the conditions were rough. But it was 15 by the Drua, who were playing in the same conditions. So the Drua's numbers in that regard, a lot better. Samusomo Vondre gets the try, 3 defenders beaten, 54 metres, in a tough set of conditions to play in. Still look pretty impressive, but that's a really important one for the Drua. I honestly think that one was must win, because their away record is so bad. They could not drop that game and still keep themselves alive in Super Rugby. So really, really important result. Then I think I'm going to give it the game of the week again. Every game the Crusaders are playing, I'm calling the game of the week. And this time you guys won, so it's not just when you guys lose, but geez, 43-33. Comeback win for the Crusaders. Remember, the Crusaders lost their opening 2. Doesn't get any easier going to the unbeaten Chiefs. You know, staring down the barrel of 9-3, the Crusaders, they get a 43-33 win, despite the fact they were 14-0 down. Game of the week for mine. Early tries to Tupaya and Nana Saturo. You can't watch the Nana Saturo one and hate Super Rugby. Geez, that was a try. Length of the field stuff. Go watch the highlights. That one was an absolute cracker. So you're thinking the Crusaders' misery is going to go on. Both the hookers exchanged tries to make it 21-7, but then the Crusaders start turning on the Jetshoes. Hotham scores one from a really nice set play scrum. Will Jordan's got some gas in the build-up to that one. Christian Leo Willie gets his first of 3. 3 tries, he scores 2 in the second, but yeah, 1 in the first. It's 21 points apiece, and the Crusaders penalty gives them a 3-point lead going into the sheds, which will certainly do their confidence the world of good. Then Leo Willie gets his hat-trick. Harvey gets a great finish in the corner. Crusaders scored some nice tries in this game, leading 43-21. The Chiefs do score a couple of consolation tries through Vai and Narawa. Carter is looking to get the Chiefs back within losing bonus point distance at the death, but he's run down by Will Jordan. So, yeah, it finishes a 10-point gap. Crazy game, though. Like, loads of line breaks. 11 by the Chiefs, 8 by the Crusaders. Will Jordan has 3 of those. When that guy gets himself into some space, he is absolutely deadly. So, the Crusaders, you can never write them off. As I said, staring down the barrel of a winless start to the season, to high-flying Chiefs, they go in and get a 10-point win, scoring 43 points. Impressive stuff. Great bounce back from the Crusaders. And then the Blues find a way to disappoint me again. Like, I had low expectations for the Blues against the Brumbies, because the Brumbies are also a high-flying, undefeated side. The Blues didn't look great in the first round, kind of a bit scrappy over in Perth. I wasn't expecting much, but they were leading 27-18 with 10 minutes to play, still managed to find a way to lose. They were leading, 27-23 with like 3 minutes to play, camped down the Brumbies' end, still managed to find a way to lose. I'm looking at this from a solely Blues perspective. I do need to give the Brumbies some credit for finding a way to pull that one out of the fire. But from a Blues perspective, I'm very, very disappointed they let in 2 late tries to lose the game. They conceded some pretty dumb penalties. I mean, the ref was very quick on the draw. I felt like some of the tacklers weren't necessarily being released straight away, but I mean, I don't want to moan about the ref, because if you can't finish off a game when you're leading with that little time to go and you camp down the opposition end, you can't blame the ref for that one, because I don't know. I did back Finlay's decision to kick the ball when we were 3 minutes to go down their end, because I didn't want the Blues to concede a penalty, because you can't run the clock down for 3 minutes these days. You will definitely get penalised. We managed to regain the kick, but yeah, the Brumbies still managed to find a way to get done. I do need to highlight the Brumbies scored a try in this game from a James Slipper long kick gathered by Declan Meredith, who chased the kick. James Slipper, legendary Wallabies loose head prop, hoofs the ball long for a try assist. Unbelievable stuff. So, Callum Clark was also in cracking form for the Blues before he went off injured, scored an intercept try and one in the second half as well. So, hope he's all right because he was in scintillating form. But yeah, the penalty count, 16-8 against the Blues. That, for me, is the killer. But, yeah, broke my heart once again. It made me question why I support these bloody guys. But they're your team. What are you going to do? 30 points to 27. The Brumbies get a win. And the Brumbies are top of the table. If we look at the log, they are first on 14 points ahead of the Waratahs, who were on the bye for round 2. So it's still the Aussie teams at the top. Then it's the Chiefs on 8, the Hurricanes on 6, the Blues on 6, and the Reds on 5, who round out your playoff sides. Just outside the playoffs are the Crusaders on 5, the Highlanders on 5, and then the Force, Drua, and Moana all on 4 points. So everybody has a win. Only the top 2 sides have not been defeated just yet. So it's bodes well for the competition. Round 4, the Chiefs are hosting Moana Pasifika. Chiefs will be huge favourites for that one, potentially rotate the squad a little bit. The Waratahs back in action against the Hurricanes could be a quite tasty one, with the New South Wales boys undefeated and the Hurricanes boys needing to bounce back after a disappointing loss. Highlanders will take on the Force. The Highlanders need to get back to winning ways, and the Force maybe a bit of confidence after a win on New Zealand soil. Blues Crusaders, I'm setting my expectations low for that one. No doubt at some point in the game, the Crusaders will maybe be on the ropes and my Blues will get my hopes up just to dash them. That's the way I predict that one going. What can I say? I've seen this story before. And then the Brumbies will take on the Reds, which should be an interesting all-Aussie affair. So far, so good for Super Rugby. You guys let us know your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my misery as a Blues fan. Take care, folks, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.